Has taken over. I mean, take these guys at PTR Radio just to look at these basement dwellers. Two fat guys, and someone who thinks he's a freaking monkey. The end is near, folks.
And now back to just a great podcast. I mean, really great bunch of guys, just the biggest and best stars on the podcast scene.
And now back to PTR Radio with Mike the Ape Man, Shaggy, and Colin. These three guys should really come with a warning label, maybe like for rectal use only. Feel my body, drink my wine.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of PTR Radio here on the fabulous interweb. It has been that kind of day. I should have just hit record earlier for all the frustrations that we had just going live. All because I had to get one HDMI cable out of my machine. That's what started the whole problem. And you'd think that I rewired the whole damn place.
Here's what I think needs to happen. We need to come up with a proprietary total radio cable.
Mm-hmm.
AKA the PTR cable.
Yes.
That will connect all your devices at one time.
Yep. And
so
we'll make
it's only one cable. And it's going to be a very unique shape and bidirectional. Maybe a parallelogram. This way, no matter which way you put it, it'll still fit. It's not going to be like USB or HDMI where you got to figure out, no, that way, no, maybe this way again, no, one more time, okay. But it's not going to be like a Lightning or a USB-C. No, it's going to be a unique shape.
I think we should make it
hurt somebody.
I think we should make it an octagon, and it can only go in one way, because that'll be even more frustrating.
That's as sadistic as the Scotsman who invented golf. That's just not right.
Well, really, I was just giving you a preview of Apple's next connector. So,
Apple's next connector is just wireless. It's going to be thought processor.
So
that's a bad example. Apple always has the best connectors. They just don't let anybody else use them.
Yeah. I don't know. Connectors on the outside. That doesn't work as well as you would think. The Lightning connector with the contacts on the outside.
Yeah. It's worked fine for me.
Nah.
Well, the Lightning... Okay, so here's the thing. The Lightning connector was ahead of its time because it was reversible. Unlike USB, USB 2.0, where, one way. Then USB-C kind of... I look at USB-C as like if you turn the Lightning connector inside out, because to your point, all the connectors are on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
So the next question is, when do we get connectors on both the inside and the outside? Hence the PTR cable.
That's otherwise known as USB 6. F.
So the other question then becomes, how do you not have extra HDMI cables that you got to steal one from the studio setup?
Well, I needed to.
They're like you can get them for like $1 for 900 yards off of Wish. I mean,
okay. Well, here's the problem. I needed this particular cable because this is the cable that I used to run all the way out to the bar when I had a camera set up at the bar. Because this cable is 125 feet. Optical HDMI cable. So that's why I needed this cable.
HDMI.
Yes. Because, well, to go HDMI, you have to be optical.
I have to. I got to switch here. The toy is not working, but hello, Teresa. Yes, thank you for No, I'm in the wrong profile. Yes, she says, "What's up, Taki crew?" It wasn't Taki's. No, it was Paki.
Yes.
That evil Paki, which I come to find out basically means idiotic death in Spanish.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
It actually translates to "never do it again."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No.
So for that topic we're just on, there's an XKCD comic that covers this very well. It's that one.
Yes. So it is a situation. There are 14 competing standards. We need to develop one universal standard. New situation. There are 15 competing standards. Yes.
Now, someone correct me if I am wrong, but wasn't there some kind of news thing that happened recently about the iPhone in Europe that it's got to have USB-C? So basically that reason.
I forget what the time frame. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So USB-C rules.
Yeah. So there was a law. EU formally adopts law requiring Apple to support USB-C. And that's because they've adopted that as the universal charging standard in the European Union, and it is a way to reduce e-waste.
Yeah. Now, I do agree with a general issue where this is the second time they try to do this. They tried to set a standard that said all phones must have this thing. I believe that was the mini USB. I think that's the one that they tried to do last. So it wasn't the one just before the C. The micro, I think that one was. It was the slightly larger one right before that. That's the one they tried to make the standard. They said, so Apple made the point, hey, if you'd made that the standard, we'd be stuck with that connector still. That was a terrible connector.
To give you an idea, the original association that was formed to come up with a standard for mobile phone chargers was established in 2009. So it's been a long time coming.
I guess we should be happy that basically you only have two types of two cell phone connector chargers now. Like they're all USB-C or Lightning. You know,
and even Lightning likes it to be USB-C at the other end.
Okay, so I mean, pretty much we've got a standard. It's no longer. Yes, make sure you have the correct barrel plug charger for your phone, not one that was for the Nokia you had.
But here's the thing, though, Mike. You didn't replace your Nokia phone every year or every 2 years because it was indestructible.
Okay, I'm going to disagree with you on that one only because back then I used to get 50% off hardware as an employee discount. So I was buying phones left and right. So I got a whole bag of chargers that I have no idea what the hell they're for. And don't get me started on Motorola that had the stupid long original iPhone looking
They had the one that looked like a 30 pin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I had a Nextel, Motorola Flip, that could do the communicator sound when you opened it. Yeah, the clamshell. Yeah.
And Mama Blair, I like USB-C the best as well. I have to laugh when I'm on like Slick Deals and they come up with these things where, mini micro USB charging only, I'm out. Because you don't have a dozen micro USB cables sitting in a drawer somewhere that you could probably use for things like this. I mean,
see, and this is what I went to in order to get kind of universal charging around my house. Is I went to these magnetic ones, where you just have, literally, it's just the tip, And actually, I went to these for a totally different, that's the iPhone, or actually that's the micro tip. and then I got USB-C, I got iPhone, but they all have the same, back with just a little dot.
Right.
But I went to these because the problem is plugging and unplugging your phone constantly out of that USB port degrades the USB port and kills it. And I have had so many phones die from that I decided, you know what? I'm just going to plug in an end and keep it in. And then I just need a quick disconnect cable, basically MagSafe, because it's not like I ever plug my phone in to data sync anymore. I mean, who does that now? Nobody data syncs their phone, I mean, that would just be plain silly. So why do you data sync your phone, Mike?
Well, I don't data sync my phone, but my wife and I connect via USB to download pictures off of our phones.
Well, see, I just run Google Photos, and that way every time I hit Google Photos, it just sends it up to the cloud so that all my information can go to the government.
Yeah, I probably should do that, but here's the problem. Like the other day, we're sitting on the couch, and my wife has the Note 20, 128 gig internal storage. She's over there feverishly looking at stuff. I'm like, what are you doing? She goes, my phone told me I have less than a gig of storage available. I said, how many of it is pictures and video? So she doesn't even give me a number. She says, I should probably go download some of these, huh? I'm like, yes, you should.
Well,
but if you set up the apps, it just does it for you. It'll take all the old pictures and automatically just put them over onto Dropbox or OneDrive or Google or whatever it's going to be, and then it's off the phone.
This is the only reason why I like Google Photos. Okay, I normally don't do the cloud stuff. I don't use Google Drive a whole lot other than to just easily share stuff with folks. But this is why I use Google Photos, and it's for the cringiest reason whatsoever. I use it for facial recognition. I use it so that then when my wife says, hey, we need more pictures of Michael, our stepson, or hey, I need pictures of this dog or this person, I can go to Google Photos, I can tippity type their name in, and boom, there's a wall of all the photos that has that person in it. And I didn't have to go through a whole bunch of pictures and look for it myself. It just knows. Big Brother's out there scanning my photos, finding pictures of Colin, and saying, here's Colin in all your photos. And I don't mind it. And if you're a friend of mine, your face is recognized. Don't be committing no crimes. Or don't be no terrorist.
I enjoyed the payout for that.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, listen, I've used Reface enough that I'm sure I'm on an ad somewhere selling prune candy or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you're on a Japanese billboard. So
those AI generators
prune candy.
Yeah, so
all you need to do is integrate that with what is it? What's that? GPT, whatever. Chat GPT.
Chat GPT. Yeah.
So that Reface and access to somebody's Google Photos with the right app, and forget it. You cease to exist. You now exist in the ethereal plane somewhere between like the lawnmower man. Okay?
Yeah.
Transcendence becomes real at that point, and that's where you live.
Well, speaking of Chat GPT, I mean, that's been like this big buzzword going around for like the last month or two, I guess. And everybody's like, "Oh, it's gonna revolutionize it. It's changing the way we do things."
I love the ones where it says it's coming for your job. These are the jobs that ChatGPT will replace. Hopefully, they're all the customer service representatives that are overseas when I call and complain that my DirecTV signal is out.
And what's funny is,
ChatGPT can read from a script better than these guys.
Well, and what also is funny is ChatGPT is using an outdated data set. Okay, so it is. I think it was from 2017. So it doesn't know the current stuff. All right, it does only know dated stuff. So if you ask it something current, it's not going to know. All right. Plus, here's what's killing me, because I've got people at work asking me, when are we going to start utilizing it? And when are we going to start building against it? And I'm like, you guys realize this is like not even beta. This is alpha testing right now. They literally said, do not do this in production. We're showing you this as a proof of concept.
Universities have come out and already, somebody invented an app that professors can use to determine if ChatGPT wrote the student's paper or not.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, with all of this online schooling, everybody's going to have a damn doctorate next year.
Yeah.
You give people access to ChatGPT, I'm gonna have a doctorate in astrophysics. Ain't gonna know a damn thing about astrophysics.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that difficult to figure it out. So you look at the student and say, okay, either you had an AI write it or Bob Dylan wrote it.
You know.
So my theory is, will it be easier to learn all of these subjects, or will it be easier to alter the way I speak so that my speech patterns better fit what ChatGPT is writing?
Yeah. So
this way there's less of a dispute. Like, wait a second, if I read this, I hear this student's voice.
But you know what?
It sounds exactly the way he would speak it.
It might be interesting, though. It might be interesting to see what we can have ChatGPT do for us. How much does it know about us, PTR Radio?
Oh God, you're gonna do this?
So so let's bring ChatGPT in and see what ChatGPT knows. So let's see here. So we're gonna replace that with.
This is why he was messing around with the HDMI cable.
No.
Oh, dear God.
So let's see here. So ChatGPT. All right. So you can ask things like, how do I make friends as an adult and everything like that. So, so let's ask, who is PTR Radio? Do you think it knows? You don't have? Well,
what's PTR Radio?
What is PTR Radio? Without more context, I think they podcast stuff. Could be an abbreviation for a radio station. It's not. Let's see here. I think they podcast stuff. In that case, maybe.
Oh boy.
Who is Mike the Ape Man?
Here we go. Here we go, of course. I got to be the one. That's right, you don't know me. Damn right, because you are not the boss of me.
Pseudonym.
Thank freaking God. That's the last thing I need is some HR person.
Oh, that's definitely. And you never even typed that, so.
Huh?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm sure I.
Yeah.
Oh, Colin's not known.
Good. I'm glad I'm not known either. You don't understand. You just brought up who is Shaggy? It's gonna be you're gonna be Scooby-Doo's partner. You know that.
Oh.
No.
It's going
it
with
wasn't me.
Mr. Boombastic first. No, not that Shaggy. The other one.
Do you know what this really is? Shaggy Rogers. His last name was Rogers.
Yes.
I never knew what Shaggy's last name was.
Yeah.
So you realize that this is basically like if Tony Stark wrote. No, so this is like if Tony Stark wrote. Do you remember like this old DOS program named Eliza that was supposed to be like the original therapist? So this is like Tony Stark's version of Eliza.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're basically asking it questions that it's giving pretty much canned answers to.
Yeah.
Right?
How do I build a successful podcast
Although,
empire.
In many ways, I think Eliza's still better.
Oh,
Define your
really
niche.
now. So create high quality content. Well, okay. we're promote your show. We're there.
So I guess for anybody who's younger who's never heard of Eliza, its thing was it was a therapist. So if it didn't really quite know what the answer to something was, it would just say, "And how does that make you feel?"
Yep.
Oh, we're supposed to monetize our show to be successful.
I like money.
Do people
You're having way too
like
much fun with this?
horrible movie reviews? It depends on the audience and the way the reviews are presented.
But, Mama Blair, how do we make our podcast funny?
We did that last time.
How to be funny if I'm a robot.
Okay, now you're just getting too.
So I have been watching a podcast. That reminds me. So the content doesn't matter too much. It's a couple of Star Trek fans watching Babylon 5 for the first time and doing it episode by episode, doing a podcast. But they record their podcast on camera as well, and they put the entire thing up on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So what's interesting about it is watching really experienced podcast people recording their podcast in real time on YouTube pre-editing. And it's the kind of thing that we just never do because we just always do this show live. But things like, if you make a mistake, you pause, figure out what you're supposed to say, go back, do the entire thing a second time, and just keep going because you edit it all later, which is something none of us have time for.
Yeah, I mean, we're basically filmed in front of a live studio audience, but without the post processing, right?
Yes.
So we're literally that screw it, we'll do it live, that we were talking about before the show. So yeah, I mean, and that's what actually I've had this conversation with other people who either host shows or they'll put out pre-recorded content or whatever. And actually, I had a discussion with somebody who was in radio, and they described a situation they were in. Their radio station got hacked, okay? And so all their music, all their ads, everything got encrypted. So they weren't able to play ads or songs for like 2 days. So they were and this was a radio show, which is typically, they do like 20-minute segment, 7-minute break, 20-minute segment, 6-minute break, something like 5-minute break, and then so on. So, they have those natural transition points because of those breaks. And, they were talking about they had to do a straight 4-hour show, right? And I'm like, you guys realize that's what we do. I'm like, that's pretty much what we do on a regular basis is that we do a straight 2-hour show. Granted, it's not 4 hours, but it's 2 hours straight, but we don't have the benefit of an hour before the show planning out everything we're going to talk about and orchestrating it, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we just, we throw a couple of links together into a document. We crack the mics, 10 minutes, 15 minutes before showtime maybe, and then we just go. And, I mean, we used to take a break in the middle, but we stopped even doing that because we just went, we're at 2 hours, and it just seemed to work better when we didn't. But that means that we have to create our own segues from one segment to another, and, you just have to keep the conversation going. Somebody's got to be talking. And, they were just like, it was exhausting. They're like, we never had a break. And I'm like, yeah, that's how we do it, which is one of the reasons why we don't do this 5 days a week or every week, not just because we have other stuff going on. But, You know, it's just, this is a lot of work mentally. You know, I'll go upstairs from this and my wife will ask me, well, what did you guys talk about? And I'm like, I really have no idea. Like, I can tell you whether we had a good time or not, whether I laughed. I'm like, but I couldn't, I'd have to re-listen to the show to tell you exactly everything we talked about, because it's not going to happen. So, yeah.
And I think that's the other thing. Like, we've been doing this long enough that we know how to play off of each other. The biggest difficulty we have, or at least from my end, and it's a little different because, you know, for those who don't know, you guys are in Illinois, I'm in Jersey, so the lag to my end is a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Now, it's different now because Colin used to be in studio with Shaggy pre-COVID. So you guys had zero lag. You had that interaction there, and I had all the lag.
Right.
So there's timing involved here where we kind of adjust around that. And the funny part is when Shaggy and I meet up face-to-face once a year when he does his annual East Coast trek with his wife, sometimes that lag still exists when we're face-to-face.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the wives look like it's awkward silence, but no. That's just how we've learned to interact with each other.
We're just giving the other person a few seconds to react before we cut them off. You know, because nobody wants a podcast that sounds like The View where everybody's constantly, you know, stepping over each other. I mean, you know, it's bound to happen every once in a while, but nobody wants that. It sounds like garbage. So
and there are times where we disagree on stuff, and I'm not just talking about the cobbler. You know, there are times where we disagree or have different opinions on topics, and if the three of us agreed all of the time or had the same opinion about every topic all the time, this show would honestly suck.
Yeah, it'd be boring as hell.
So, and you know, that's why they have somebody like Meghan McCain on The View. Even I know she's not there anymore, but you got to have somebody that's polar opposite, or is going to have a differing opinion than 90% of the other folks on the panel.
Yeah, I mean this really is
there is a debate. There is a discussion.
Yeah. I mean, we have a really unique structure to the show too, if you think about it. And that's why I'm surprised our reach isn't a little bit greater, because if you look at the audience reach that we have, you know, most shows are fairly homogeneous as far as their makeup, right? It's all people that are in the same stage or similar demographic or whatever, same points, right? Which I'm not saying we're not all in the same points at life, but we're in different areas. So you got Colin, single, you know, not you know, playing the field, not the gigolo type of guy that we know of.
He's the ladies' man.
Yeah.
He's the ladies' man of the show.
Yeah, he could be. We don't know. Obviously, we play it down for the radio show. You know, we don't want his bitches and hoes breaking down the door.
Right.
But
so
then
I'm the old man.
Not only that, but you're more the single. Well, not the single, but you're the couple, the empty nest couple, with that didn't, you know.
Okay.
That what I was getting to is you guys don't have kids.
We don't have kids.
I was trying to figure out how to say that without, you know, you guys don't see that as a negative though. Yeah.
No, we don't.
Yeah. And then you have me who, if you were to look at the situation, I should be about 30 years older than what I am. But, you know, kids out on their own and grandkids on my side, you know, that one of which is full grown and out on his own. So, you know, I've got that experience coming into this. So if you look at it, you know, we think about the different levels of experience and aspects that we look at things, it's totally different. So, you know, that's what I think that's one of the cool things that we bring to the table. And I wish that more people, you know, took advantage of that and would ask us those things about, hey, what's your view on this topic? Because we can give them 3 completely different points of views. Mama Blair writes in and says, so many podcasts include politics and you don't, so it's sometimes more difficult to come up with topics. You do a really good job usually. Sometimes politics make their way into the show, but in general, we try to stay away from that not because we would fight about it, not because in the main, I think, and I think I think this is universally true. I think over 50% of the population are pretty much straight down the middle, right? They're the, you know, we just want politicians not to dick with us. We want fiscal responsibility, and you know, we just want to live our lives. You know, we would love politicians who made our lives better, but we just really want politicians who won't make it worse. You know, everybody wants to go,
way to put it, but yeah,
everybody wants to go down the middle. And the problem with politics is you have people on either side. Nobody wants to go down the middle because, as someone said this morning that I heard, there's no money in the middle. There's only money at the edges. All right.
So I think we reached a point where we made a decision that we weren't going to talk politics. We weren't going to talk pandemic. Right. Because there was a point in time where those two topics were you couldn't talk about one without talking about the other. And there was no way around pissing somebody off.
Oh, yeah.
Because I mean, I think it's safe to say, at least from my perspective, I know that my views on when you took the two of those together, politics and COVID, and the response, my views were differing than you guys a lot of the time. And I think I'll say it a lot of the time.
And I think we all evolved. I think that our views evolved as that situation did, right? You know, and when you look at it, when you look at the pandemic itself and politics, those two things are polarizing in and of themselves. You put them together, it got monumentally worse.
Yeah. And to your point, my situation dealing with it in Jersey, as we talked about it, was different than the way you guys dealt with it in Illinois, just because of the way the governments in our states were handling things different.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So there was that introduced a bias that we had to talk through.
Yeah.
Because at first I don't think we were recognizing that.
Yeah. And as we've always said, we want this to be fun for us first and foremost. And if we're coming out of this show angry, then we're not having fun. And that's not going to happen. I mean, we'll stop doing the show at that point. So, you know, but anyway, so let's get back to something that is fun.
Shaggy's dream girl suffered a catastrophic issue.
Not dream girl whatsoever. This woman scared me. What? Right? I don't even understand why somebody would do this to themselves.
She came out and she said, okay, so we talked about this Instagram model, Mary Magdalene.
Yeah.
Who had 38J breast implants. And we talked about her because she got kicked off of an airplane.
Yeah.
And they said it was because she was dressed inappropriately.
Yeah.
But then the stories, you know, kept coming out. Well, one of her breast implants exploded. Suddenly,
not on an airplane.
Somebody's 38J breast implant exploded. Somebody somewhere was saying, y'all better make sure that ark is ready to float, because this is, I mean, put her by Lake Mead and maybe it'll fill the thing back up. I don't know. This is ridiculous. But so an article came out today, and this is kind of why I jumped to this one. First, she said that plastic surgeries became her extreme sports. Like she was getting an adrenaline rush from doing this body modification. And all I could think about when that phrase came out was the guy that made himself look like a snake man and then said he couldn't get a job.
Well, that guy mostly, didn't he just get tattoos and and like facial implants? I mean, maybe he went.
He had his tongue
split, and I guess he did get his teeth filed. So.
He did like eye things, had his ears removed or some.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, there is a true sickness called body dysmorphia, where you know you hate the way that you look, and feel the need to change it. I mean, that's what some people say causes, transsexualism. But that's neither here nor there. But this woman, I mean, you could see just not her chest, but she had extensive cheek fillers, lip fillers, as well as all the tattoos and everything else. I mean, this woman was scary to look at.
Yeah, and some other pictures came out of her. I just sent you in Slack that this was like in progress kind of picture, and you see, she really was an attractive woman. Now, if I may, that is actually Madonna last night at the Grammys.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, I thought that was her. I thought that was Mary Magdalene pre-surgery. Oh,
that's Madonna.
Oh, we should play the Who Is It? Because my wife watches that People Puzzler on the Game Show Network.
What the hell is that?
It's got Leah Remini or whatever in the hell her name is as the host. It's a crossword puzzle game. That's all it is. But she's another one who went a bit overboard with the plastic surgery. Because you can see it in her, especially in her face, that she is just a bit much. Trying to find a recent picture of her, because she's she used to be really good looking, and then she just went too far. So I'll find something recent here. But
yeah. I know that body dysmorphia is a real thing, and I think that often can be a root cause to like eating disorders and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand. I look at this Mary Magdalena or whatever her name is now, and the phrase from Jurassic Park, just because you can doesn't mean you should, comes to mind.
Oh, definitely.
And unfortunately, that is a phrase that I've been using a lot lately. That being said,
so here is
if body modifications like that with her, I mean, she doesn't look.
It's much worse. This is probably a bit of an older picture. It's much worse on Puzzler.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell celebrities have work done, and I get it. They want to keep their look. You get celebrities like Jennifer Grey, who had it botched to the point where her career was virtually ruined.
Well, and she's not recognizable anymore. She doesn't even look like her. My God, there's a website, Celebrity Surgery Icon. You can actually look up celebrities and see what work they've got done. They have it indexed.
So here's my stance. This is where I was going with this with Mary Magdalena, or I'm just going to call her Mary because I don't know if I'm saying her last name right. While I don't quite understand it, if that's your thing, by all means, go for it. Why? You're not hurting anybody. You're not hurting us. You're not putting anybody else in danger by doing this to yourself. But don't be like Snake Dude coming out and saying, I can't get a job now because I did this to myself. Okay, you've taken it to an extreme, my friend. You look like an alien. And you can't be working in an environment that you could be scaring little kids.
Yeah. Next thing you know, you'll end up looking like Charo. Like this.
Charo, she looks the same as I remember when she was. Who's that? Who's the fashion woman that looks like Catwoman? That has the Jay Leno jaw happening.
Fashion woman who looks like Jay Leno. Okay, let's see just how good Google is.
Go ahead.
Looks like Jay Leno. Jessica Biel? No.
No.
Naomi Campbell? No.
No. No. Let's see. Maybe I don't know. Maybe what's her name? Maybe Chat GPT can figure this one out.
Would know.
No. Okay. Maybe I think Google's homing in on the Jay Leno part.
Yeah.
There she is. What's her name? What's her name? Come on. I've got pictures of her all over the place now coming up. What's her damn name?
I don't know.
I have an entire... All right. 10 celebs who ruin their faces through plastic surgery. Fine. Jocelyn Wildenstein.
Okay.
Here, I'm just going to send you a link to this. We can talk about this one. Fine. It's 10 celebrities that screwed up their... Because, honestly...
Oh my God. Looks like the Cowardly Lion from Wizard of Oz.
So she's known as Catwoman, Bride of Wildenstein, and is often listed as a cautionary tale for addiction to plastic surgery. So she almost looks like, on the article I sent you, you could slot Madonna's picture in here, and it's before, during, after.
Holy moly!
No, not that. Okay, well that's
her.
That's actually a better picture, but
yeah. Okay, so 10 celebrities. So
scroll.
Okay, so here we go. So this one.
Mm-hmm. Tell me you couldn't just take that Madonna picture we put up and put it in the middle there, and it'd be before, during, after.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yep. That's the one. A lot of those fake ones you see. Look what this person looks like now. That's the picture they usually stick on it.
Yeah.
Versace.
All right. Michael Jackson, we know.
Oh yeah, we know. Igor and Grichev Bogdanov. Oh yeah, you see them all the time. They have the mask face thing going on, you know.
Yeah.
Courtney Cox.
Yeah, she did.
It wasn't terrible, but she could have done less with the cheeks, I think. So.
And that's interesting there. So it was saying that most of what she had done is going to dissolve, so it'll get better.
Ah, okay. Joan Van Ark. Holy moly. That is bad. Yep, that's no bueno.
How the hell do you have 10 celebs who ruin their careers and it
don't have pictures for three
how
of them?
How do you have 10 celebs? Yeah, how do you have 10 celebs and then the last three you don't even have a blurb on?
Yeah.
What damn who's that? Expat woman. Okay, you're a horrible website.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I just pissed off somebody because that's probably a feminist website of some kind.
So Mike, speaking of pissing off people, so you came across a Facebook group about Reddit stories.
Did oh
funny
well, okay,
funny
so,
grandma stories
funny grandma
from Reddit
stories. Yes.
on Facebook.
And there's one particular thread that made me have to post this up. Okay, so they ask phrases men hate hearing from women. My God, there are 10,000 comments. I've gone through some of them.
Yeah, 54,000. So. And some of them are ones that obviously are just out there to, I'm pregnant, it's not your baby, whatever. I don't like hearing whatever, because whatever is normally in a tone that you don't want to hear whatever.
Whatever is usually the sign that you need to go take cover and go buy jewelry of some kind.
Yeah.
Because you done screwed up royally. The one that caught me is, so I've been thinking.
Oh, no, I told my wife, you've already told me that there are two things I'm like, that one there, and we need to talk. Like those two, you told me I'm not allowed to say, so you can't say them either.
I recently told my wife that she is not allowed to say, "Do me a favor," because that triggers. That's a trigger phrase for me. Yes, that's right. I said it. I get triggered.
I always love the "we need to ... because there's never a "we." That's one letter too long. It should just be "you need to."
We need to side the house. No, that's not we.
Mm-mm.
That's I need to figure out how to get the siding done. That's what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
We need to figure out how to fix this problem. No, that means drop what you're doing, figure out how to fix this problem.
Yep.
We really should not have done this when I was this far into this train. I was just saying.
Somebody says he hates to hear his wife say "bitch ass ninja." What my wife's never said "bitch ass ninja." I would be taken aback if she said that.
Does my butt look fat in these pants? And somebody replied with the Admiral Akbar gif. It's a trap.
It's a trap. Honey, can I ask you something that never leads to anything good? Are you busy? That never leads to anything good.
Do you know what your problem is? Obviously not.
Tell me.
Can I get a refill?
Educate me. My glass is too empty for this conversation. That's what's wrong. That's what my problem is. What are you thinking? The universal answer is most likely nothing. Not a goddamn thing.
This thread is almost as entertaining as the Aldi group.
Yes.
That Mama Blair turned me on to, that I still have not gotten myself kicked out of. But I have pointed out many, many times that I will just reply to a thread and say, I can't reply what I want to say because I'll be accused of being microaggressive and a chauvinistic pig because I'm a male. I'm not in the Karen-free Aldi group, by the way. Because apparently there is a Karen-free Isle of Shame group.
Somebody wrote, yours is the perfect size. All the other guys hurt too bad.
Yeah, see, in any sexual thing, that's just too easy.
No, it's too quick. It's just a, Oh, here's one. Are you listening at all? So my wife did that to me the other night. So she was going on and on about something. And, she goes, you're not listening at all. And then I verbatim repeated exactly back what she had said. And she goes, I guess you were listening. And I go, I listen to everything you say. I may not be paying attention, but I listen to everything you say.
So here's the serious one, and this has been a reel on Instagram and Facebook and all. If she says, when you get a second, just start putting your shoes and your coat on, because that means do it now or forever hear the wrath.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just
all y'all who are single, take notes. This is going to help you down the road.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Know what you're in for.
So many people replied with just read the directions is something they hate to hear their wife say.
I don't. And see, I'm one of the. I never thought that was weird. Like if we get something from like Amazon, like a desk, or she got shelves or something, maybe it's the engineer in me. I want to lay out and make sure all the parts that I need are there.
Yeah.
And I want to look at the instructions and make sure I know what parts are what. I follow the damn instructions.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, some of them are ridiculous, like IKEA with pictures and. and some of their labeling is suspect. But
yeah.
Here's the thing. Furniture companies, anybody selling stuff on Amazon. Here's a real simple thing. Instead of IKEA was very common to just stamp the letter of the part on an edge that was going to be hidden. And those stamps were not reliable. Spend the extra, I don't know, 10 cents a day on the child labor that's making this stuff for you to have them put stickers on these things that will stay so that we can clearly know what parts are what.
Yeah.
It's even more of a benefit when all of the parts are on that cardboard card with the bubble things. So everything is labeled as to what part it is, as opposed to individual bags, and you got to figure out with damn ruler how long. Oh, wait, is this a 10 millimeter or an 8 millimeter bolt? What do you mean I need a 9.5 millimeter bolt? There's such a thing? What? Home.
I actually got one.
Where did you get it from? Wish?
I got one not that long ago where it was they gave us a plastic like compartmentalized tray with all the parts in it, and not only did they have like on the lid silk screened the letters for all the parts, but then they also had an overlay of the silk screened on there too for each compartment. And I'm like, damn, they really care. And they give me a cool tub after I've got everything put together.
Yeah.
And finally,
use after.
Have actual size drawings of all the bolts and fasteners and stuff. So if they do get messed up, nice. You can put them on a piece of paper and say, it's that one.
Oh, I've got something. I think it's in the other room. I bought something, though, to help with that because it was listed in the, 25 gifts for the handyman for Christmas or whatever under $25. And one of them was this little, plastic card that had all these different little cutouts and hex heads and everything. And basically, you put the screw in, and it tells you how long the screw is. And, because it's got all the different depths, and then it'll even tell you what the thread width is on it, so you know whether it's a 1/2 inch or a 3/4, whatever it is. And I got one for imperial and one for metric, and then you can even look and see the hex head bolt size and everything. It's really cool. It's for sorting your drawer of eventual screws that you end up with, because you just throw extra screws into a drawer, So yeah,
a drawer.
Okay, a Rubbermaid tub that is, 10 gallons. That's usually what happens with mine.
Fair enough.
We just call it the garage.
Yeah.
So that was my grandfather's. I got to the point where I stopped just putting the bolts in one drawer and the nuts in another, in one of those organizer thing, because that just proved how sadistic I was, or masochist I was, that I was torturing myself, that I'd find the right bolt, but then I'd have to go and dig out and find the right nut. So now if it's a set, everything gets, I'm pulling out the set. That being said, I stopped saving every damn nut and bolt because I realized the amount of aggravation it takes, or the amount of time it takes me to sift through all of it. I could drive to Home Depot, buy exactly what I need off of the $1.79 per envelope rack, and get home and be done with less aggravation, which means I can enjoy that beer instead of needing that beer to cut the anger so I can finish the project.
The only thing I don't do that for is anything having to do with computers or monitors. Because
like HDMI cables.
Well, no, I mean yes, I definitely have several tubs of cables, but at least I have them organized now. USB cables in one, power cables in one. I have a whole Rubbermaid tub of AC adapters, of transformers. I've got all my phone stuff in one. So I have I've got Ethernet cables listed. Okay, here's 1 to 3 foot cables. Here's 5 to 10 foot cables. Here's 50-foot cables. And all that kind of stuff. So I have somewhat organized, but yeah, No. The only thing, the reason why I keep them is especially anything that comes with a monitor or a monitor stand or a mount is because they all come with those stupid like the metric screws for like VESA mounts and stuff like that. And those are, one, expensive because for some reason metric stuff is more expensive at the hardware store. And two, you never know whether you need a coarse thread or a tight thread, or whether you need a longer one or a shorter one. And those plastic spacers are impossible to find anywhere. And so, I do keep that stuff.
Those I keep. I will agree with you. I keep the monitor mount stuff.
But I have like a couple of cigar boxes that I keep that stuff in, and when the cigar box is full, I stop collecting because that's enough. So.
It's never enough.
No, it's enough at that point. So, all right. Let's see here. Well, Mike, you also posted an article about because you love the British, and you're planning your trip over there to enjoy the countryside and the fine entertainment that they have firsthand, and you were saying that now you've got to plan a little bit of extra money for when you go.
All right, so I understand. USA Today posted an article that U.S. travelers will soon have to pay a fee to enter the UK, an entrance fee, if you will. Now, as a New Jerseyan, I look at this. Okay, let me back up. As a New Jerseyan, I despise New Yorkers. In part because all the bridges into New York, you pay going into New York. You do not pay coming out to go back to Jersey, which implies that you are paying for a privilege to mingle amongst these heathens. So when this article came up, I said, this is very much like New York. I don't like New Yorkers. I don't like British. And now I have to pay to get into their country. Why?
God forbid there was a New York British person.
Yes,
or a British New Yorker. Please don't get me started on that kind of abomination, because I don't think my head could wrap around this. No, so
there was
I do come to
on Jeopardy last week.
And now you just turn it into a triple threat here.
Someone who was born in New York and lived in England for like 20 years.
You are just trying to make me have a stroke right here on this show, because I understand now that that other countries do this as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Including
understand
us.
why there has to be, including us. What does it cost to enter the U.S.? What?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, in fact, one of you said a cost, and that cost that you said was actually the U.S. cost, because the UK hadn't said what theirs it was yet.
Oh, no, I said there was a cost to leave Canada that I knew.
Well, okay, and if you're leaving Canada, where are you going? United States?
But it's collected by the Canadian government. It's not collected by the U.S. That is collected by Canadian Border Patrol.
No, I think it was a couple years ago the U.S. put in the same thing.
Okay, so do you know why Canada does that? I'm going to tell you why. Because they're making up for their ridiculous postal system. Have you guys ever ordered or shipped anything to Canada?
Not recently. It's been a very long time.
Okay. The only company that I will use to ship, as a hockey player, I ship a lot of stuff, or I used to ship a lot of my used gear up to Canada. The only company that I can use is USPS, because they hand off to Canada Post, and it's off. You ship it UPS, all of a sudden you have all these border fees and tariffs and all of this other stuff that get tacked on. And that's where Canada makes its money off the U.S.
So you're right. So it says that the U.S. for does charge people to enter.
Yeah, it's called the ESTA.
Yeah, so it's a tourist
$21.
visa. Oh, this said
No, it's not a tourist visa.
Oh, okay.
A tourist visa has its own cost. This is the ESTA is for non-visa countries.
Oh, okay. All right.
Mama Blair said they had to pay a fee to leave El Salvador, not to enter. That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and that's why there was one comedian that said that Canada could charge much more than what they charge to leave that frozen hellscape. So, no. But yeah, I mean, there definitely is. Oh yeah, a tourist visa is only $160 and it can be valid for up to 10 years. I don't know how many of those we're issuing right now, but
depends on the country too.
Well, that's for the U.S.
I know. It depends on what country you're coming from to the U.S.
Oh, okay, true. Yeah. So, but Mike, no. So the answer is, you're going to have to pay extra when you go to England. Soon. So.
I don't plan on going to England anytime soon. I can't even get an appointment to get real ID, so I don't think I'm going to be flying anywhere in the U.S. anytime soon.
Yeah, my wife and I were talking. Our 25th anniversary is coming up here, fairly soon, and she said, "Well, we should do something for it." And I'm like, "Okay." So I started looking, and she wants to go to Italy. We've always talked about going to Italy, and because that's where her family's originally from, and I'd love to go to Ireland, but not this time around. I'd rather go to Iceland. So I said, well, Iceland Air's got that layover deal where you can spend some time in Iceland on your way to Milan. So maybe that'd work. So I was looking at what the price was for flights. So it was like $1,500, which isn't too bad per person. But for an international flight, it's not terrible. $1,800.
How much did you say?
$1,500.
Okay.
It could be as low as $800 a person if we're really willing to make another layover. But but yeah, and it was $1,800 for the Supreme Premium class or whatever it is. So I don't know. We're kind of at that point now where I'm thinking, and she hates to fly anyway, so that might be the way to go, is to spend the extra bit of money and get the upgraded seats. It's going to be one of those trips that we only do once, so maybe go a little bit out there. But it kind of also depends on what it's going to be like when we actually get there, how much stay and everything's going to end up being. So I don't know. That's like another year or so away. So, but got to start planning for it now.
I will say, if you look at doing a European cruise, then you can find some interesting flight deals through the cruise company.
Yeah. We also were talking about doing an Alaskan cruise. My wife just is still not sure about getting on a boat. And I keep telling her, I'm like, well, everything you want to do either involves a boat or a plane, and you don't like either of them. So you're going to have to pick one and go with it. And she's like, I just don't like the idea that I'm going to be stuck on this boat. I'm like, yeah, but the boat
that's not something you ever have.
The boat is huge.
Yes.
The boat is the city.
So the compromise here is the Amtrak train vacation across the United States.
God, she gets carsick. Can you imagine her in a train? She said she was going to take the boys on a train ride that was like literally an hour. And I'm like, you are going to throw up your last month's worth of meals. I'm like, I have ridden a train cross country. So it's not. It would not be good.
Book on Blue Origin at this point. I mean, good Lord, can't fly, can't do a train, can't do a cruise. What do you?
I know.
You do the Watusi? What are you gonna do? I mean,
the bicycle, I guess. I don't know.
Bicycle.
Yeah. Can we get a rickshaw across the country? Maybe.
They still have hovercrafts anywhere that I can use. Hovercraft?
But yeah. So
at this point, I've been on enough cruises that I actually now have Emerald status, which means that I get a robe on board.
ooh.
Not sure.
Mama Blair
Not
said
sure the robe-
she's got real life. I'm sorry, Colin. Go ahead.
No, I was just go ahead.
So we have Real ID
Yeah.
and pre-check, which only works in the U.S.
Yeah, they should have got global entry, but oh well. Back to Real ID.
Is cool though.
So,
Yeah.
I got that too. That's been good. So, do either of you think that Real ID is ever actually going to happen?
I don't know. They keep extending the implementation for this state. So,
New Jersey, you can get it, but our DMV, you still have to make an appointment if you have to do anything in person, and they don't print them on site. So I would be basically making an appointment, go in, present all of the 17 pieces of flair that I need to present in order to prove I am who I am, get a new picture taken, and then I got to wait for it to be delivered anyway.
Yeah, we don't print ours on site
Yeah.
either. They mail them here, and it takes, what was it, 6 to 8 weeks? Something like that?
It wasn't that long for me, but yeah, it was. What I did is I went and got a passport first. So step one was I got a passport, and then because that was relatively easy, and then I used the passport to go get the Real ID.
Yeah.
Which is really kind of superfluous because once you have a passport, and I got the passport card as well, and the passport card is usable to get on and off planes, so the Real ID was useless.
Yeah, now let me ask you this. Once you get the Real ID, is it any more difficult to renew your driver's license than what it is without the Real ID?
I don't think so. I see mine still has the wrong address on it.
Oh no.
So I haven't got around to fixing that, but I had one person I had one of the security people at the airport get confused by that once. So now I just take my passport card, give that to them instead. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean everywhere else just takes a passport, so
Yeah. I'll tell you one hilarious thing, Shaggy. This is more of an inside Illinois baseball thing here. Not literally. There were some people talking about making sure that the PII was being, hidden inside our databases, and they want to make absolutely doubly sure that if we had any driver's license numbers, those got extremely protected. And I'm like, you do know that you can generate people's driver's license number by knowing their name, gender, and birth date.
Yeah, but the last 4 is sequential, right?
No, that's those security numbers.
Oh, okay.
The security numbers have a sequential. Driver's license numbers, especially at least in Illinois, is a sound X of your name.
Ah, okay. Yeah, for those that aren't familiar with the lingo, PII is personally identifiable information.
Yeah.
So it's basically it's what Equifax decided to leak out to everybody. When your name, social security number, birthday, credit rating, all that kind of stuff went out to the public and basically devalued stolen identities to the point where they weren't worth anything anymore because there were so many out there. That was it was funny and sad both at the same time. All right, because before then, I think like a stolen social security number and birthday and name combination was worth like $30 or $40 a piece, but after the Equifax leak, I think it went down to like $2. I mean, it just wasn't worth anything. It was ridiculous because I still bring up that, and everybody's pretty much forgotten about that completely. Nobody even cares about that leak as massive as it was, and I still love to remind people about that when they're worried about their email address or their telephone number being out there. And I also love to remind people you do know your telephone number and your address, at least back when we had home lines. were delivered to everybody else in this big book that we used to throw on porches. So. But getting back into the bread and butter of our show, talking about TV. Now, Colin, you posted this interesting article that is going to make my wife have a conniption fit because one of her favorite shows, it appears, actually two of her favorite shows. One is going to have a spinoff, The Good Wife, and the other one is going to get rebooted with Kathy Bates. Matlock. Now, if somebody said to me, hey, they're going to remake a television show about, Matlock, I would never have picked Kathy Bates as the natural replacement for Matlock.
I would after Harry's Law. Her previous attempt at this 10 years ago that was canceled by NBC because it had good ratings, but they were mostly old people.
So, Shaggy, I guess my question is the issue that they're gender swapping the role, or
no?
The issue is just that they're remaking Matlock, which, had such a long. The run was so long that they were able to take an actress who played someone who got convicted of murder and turn her into Matlock's daughter in the series. That's how long this show was on.
Yeah.
okay?
The joke I made when I posted this up is coming in 2024 is they're remaking the Bob Newhart show starring Rihanna. That's
yes,
what Matlock.
Produced by Will
produced
Smith.
by Will Smith. Yeah.
Well,
here's Matlock is Andy Griffith. There's no separation between the man and the character.
No,
I will say
it would be like recasting.
Okay, so you said
the Andy Griffith show with Cat Williams as Andy Griffith.
all right, so if not Kathy Bates, if this is happening, because you said you couldn't see it with, is it so? It's not because it's gender swap. Do you see somebody else that you would rather see this role if they're going to do it?
No, I don't think that is a show that she redo it. But
I mean, here's the thing. So
clear. I'm okay with Kathy. I actually think she would make a good Matlock. She did 10 years ago. But when you look at the description of this show, is she is a lawyer who's been out of the business for a bit, and then she's come back, and she's joined this big law firm, and stuff happens. I'm looking at this going, that is not Matlock. Matlock is this guy who worked for himself, had people who worked for him, and who he was a bit of a miser about with his own employees, and just kind of showed up in different courtrooms and got people off. It's from whatever murder that people said they did. That's Matlock.
Well, and you have to think about who all showed up in Matlock. All right, how many drop-ins did you have from Matlock that were huge stars?
Okay, here's the other question. Did you have more in Matlock or more in Law and Order?
I think you probably had more in Matlock.
Yeah. Matlock, you had people showing up. Law and Order, you have people showing up that you would later know.
I mean, and all of them you wouldn't necessarily like. I don't know that they weren't always the A-listers either. Sometimes they were the B-listers, but they were enough.
Mama Blair, Kathy Bates is not going to wear a white suit and a bolo tie. She can't.
Well, Matlock wore a gray suit. Maybe she could wear a gray, So you had Don Knotts, you had Julie Summers, you had Dick Van Dyke, you had Vivica A. Fox, you had Randy Travis, you had Ryan Phillippe, you had Terry O'Quinn, you had George Papard, you had Richard Klein, you had Bryan Cranston, you had, before he was famous, you had Tracy O'Neill, you had Peter Mark Jacobson, you had Art LaFleur. You know, I mean, you had quite a few, you know, pretty influential guys. You also had where is he? Clarence Gilliard, who then went on to play in Texas Walker, Texas Ranger. You know, you know who. So I mean, you know, I think this did probably launch several people as well. So you know, I just
what it comes down to is it's like you don't remake Columbo. You cannot replace Peter Falk. What you do is you take the exact same idea and you make the character neurotic and name him Monk.
Okay, I get what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing with you. I mean, I wasn't a big fan of Matlock. Not saying I didn't like it, but I didn't like watch it all the time. I get what you're saying. This is very similar to what was the? Oh God, there was a show that I had this huge complaint about this exact argument when they redid it.
Magnum PI.
Just maybe.
Magnum
It
PI.
may have been.
They took him away from being a cop turned private investigator to being a ex-special forces, you know, now, you know, PI. And they changed the story enough, right, that it played well. You know, and Higgins they gender switched Higgins, and now she goes out with him, you know, in the series rather than just staying back at Robin's Nest. So, you know, they made enough changes there. Speaking of which, Night Court. Mike, did you have a chance to did you watch either of the first 3 episodes? No,
I did not. I know it's been renewed for a second season already. So
yeah, I have not watched the episode 3 yet. I've got it. I haven't watched it yet on the DVR. You know, so I'll be curious because it seems like they're dipping into some of the sacred episodes a little early. You know, just from reading the summary of what episode 3 was about. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Like I said, I did like the first couple episodes. I thought it was good.
Yeah. They really deepened the character of Abby Stone with episode 3. And they took the character in a slightly different, a very different direction than I thought they ever would. They didn't ruin that. It's just I'll leave it at that. It was interesting what they did with her backstory.
One thing that was interesting was I happened to be on like a little bit of a YouTube rabbit hole at lunch, and I came across a Brent Spiner. He was giving a talk to some like local community group or something about his acting career, and somebody's like, "Listen, we'll get to the Star Trek stuff, but what I really want to know is what was the audition like for Night Court?" He goes, "Because that's where I really, started to notice you." And he goes, "Wow, okay, yeah." He goes, "Nope, people don't ask me that very often." So he goes into talking about it, and the voice and the mentality for Bob Wheeler came from a character that he created as a kid, as like an early teenager. Him and his friends screwing around at like this restaurant, messing with the waitress. Because he grew up in Texas, and so he wanted this like dumb hillbilly hick Texan like voice. So he goes, then I went in for the audition. He goes, and I read the script a little bit, and I kind of realized, okay, these are people from West Virginia, and they're downtrodden and everything. He goes, I wonder if this could work, because he goes, the character that he came up with as a kid. He called Elmo. He goes, I wonder if Elmo's voice would work for this guy. He goes, and it was a hit. They gave it to me pretty much on the spot. They go, nope, you're perfect. And so they said, well, if they ever did this was before I guess it evidently got picked up for the first season. They go, well, if you ever did if they ever did it again, would you be interested? And he goes, oh, hell yeah. He goes, they've talked about doing a reboot of it a couple times. He goes, I'm always interested to play that character because it was one of the first ones I ever did, as a real actor. And I'm like, it would be so cool to see Bob and June Wheeler back on Night Court.
He actually was going to be going full time on Night Court with that character. But he got Data instead.
So I was just, it was cool. So I love kind of getting some of the behind the scenes stuff about, okay, how did that character come to be and the voice and everything. So it was kind of.
It's a little sad to hear that, some of the rumors of what it was really like on the show and, the actors who were unhappy. But when you're on a show for that long, it just happens.
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, think about all the different stories we heard about Cheers for all the years that it was on, Yeah. So. Alrighty. So
now I'm actually hearing that there was supposed to be a Who's the Boss revival, and I'm hearing that it may not be happening now because Tony Danza, I don't want to say refuses to work with Alyssa Milano, but he may have gotten a little tired of her political tirades and said, no, I'm not doing this. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but because supposedly, I don't know, you could probably move forward without him because supposedly the revival is going to take, Sam is going to be thrown into the same role that Tony was, forced to become a housekeeper to make ends meet after a successful career kind of thing.
Yeah, Samantha, who is a single mother. So, interesting. Yeah, this update, which was given in June. Oh, last year, though. June of 22, said they were working on it, and it would be on Freevee for Amazon. But I don't know if there's anything after that. So, yeah. But lots of fun stuff happening in the TV realm. So I guess that's good.
Yeah, a lot of stuff is getting canceled too. Or ending.
Yeah, I also read about Stephen Amell coming back, reprising his role as Green Arrow for the last season, or at least one special episode, I guess, on the final season of The Flash.
Which to me it's fitting.
I
mean, they call it the Arrowverse for a reason, so
yep.
It's fitting that he would come back for one. I don't know how. Probably, I don't know if it's going to be flashback or whatever, but I think it'll be a good one.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
And I don't know what's going on. See, I can talk about it now since they've been divested, but I don't know what the hell is going on with Warner Brothers. Like, when did it become a thing to start shelving nearly completed or nearly completed projects just to take a tax write-off?
I think it was a special case because of the purchase.
But they did it with Batwoman, right?
Yep.
Supposedly the final season of Snowpiercer has been shelved, even though it's completely shot. I think there was one. Titans and Doom Patrol they're just being canceled. But I think there was something else that they did that to as well. They just
it doesn't
make sense to me.
Well, there was a skit on Saturday Night Live this last weekend, or 2 days ago, yesterday. So, which maybe helps explain it. But it was a game show, like movie and TV trivia. But the joke was, name a movie that was made in the last 8 years, or here's the most popular TV show right now on Apple Plus. What's it about? And nobody can answer the question. And so I think there is a perception right now that there is so much content that no one can keep track of it all.
Well, I think
so you're getting you're getting quality, but there's so much quantity that they're losing the value of what they've made.
Well, I think one of the issues with canceling Batgirl, at least, was the fact that they canceled that one, but they are still releasing the Flash movie with all the controversy surrounding Ezra Miller. You know, Batgirl, there was no controversy with that movie. It was all but wrapped and just needed some final production work. But Ezra Miller is out there supposedly, allegedly, abducting.
No, I think he got convicted.
I didn't think that there was a trial yet. I thought that they were still. I thought that maybe they had taken him into custody, but he hadn't been actually, formally charged. Allegation.
Well, that's true, because Gunn hasn't given up on him yet. He got probation after Home Invasion. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
But in the case of Snowpiercer, they announced it was going to be the final season, which, in my opinion, was one that they shouldn't have happened. The way that the last season ended was, it's done. The train's broken. You're done.
Yeah.
It's the final season wrapped. They shot pretty much everything and was canceled. So now they're shopping it around elsewhere. So that's the business decision that doesn't make sense to me. I mean, is it like buying something knowing you need a loss so to offset capital gains somewhere? That's the part of the balance sheet that I don't get.
Yeah.
As long as it's canceled, that's fine. If they write it off, that's where it becomes an issue.
And supposedly that was the logic behind not releasing Batgirl.
Yeah, if it's written off, they can't release it.
Yeah, so all right, I see what you're saying. So Snowpiercer may not have been written off. It was canceled.
If it wasn't written off, it just isn't going to show on TNT. There's a chance that someday you'll go somewhere and we'll be able to watch it. But if it gets written off, it's dead. It's deleted. It can never be shown.
So when you have it in the can, ready to go, what's the logic in canceling? That's the part that I don't get.
For movies, in today's day and age, right now, I think it's a 50-50 thing. 50% is making the movie, 50% is marketing the movie. So if you don't release the movie, you don't pay for marketing. And if you don't think you're going to make back the money, then
all right,
not marketing
for
money
movies,
is
that makes sense.
Not marketing stuff. Yep.
Okay. TV shows that does. I don't think that makes sense. But
did you know there
TV
was
shows you stick on your streaming service and get done with it?
Did you know that there was a remake of Revenge of the Nerds in progress in 2006?
No.
Yeah, back then, yes.
It was canceled after 2 weeks of shooting because Emory University, where it was being filmed, read the script and revoked the permission they had given to the film. And then the studio executives were disappointed in the dailies they received. I can't imagine remaking that movie in 2006.
So one more quick little TV thing, and then I guess maybe we can get to the movie reviews because I don't know. I don't think they're going to take that long.
No.
I read something today. So Kim and I started, since all of our shows are pretty much on hiatus, we started binging Yellowstone. And I read today that season 5 could, which is the one that's airing right now, could be Yellowstone's last season, even though it is currently one of Paramount's highest rated shows.
Well,
because Kevin Costner has said he only wants to shoot the remaining episodes over the course of 1 week. And Paramount said that's not happening. So they literally may be canceling this because Kevin Costner doesn't want to work a long schedule shooting. In the old days, now the problem here is he's been an executive producer on this since day one.
Mm-hmm.
In the old days, they'd kill off his character and they'd move on.
Yeah.
Well,
now
what they've done with Yellowstone is they just keep spinning it off. So
yeah,
so why bother wasting time with the Kevin Costner section when you have this? What's that guy's name? I never heard of him before. Harrison something.
Oh, and that other chick, Helen something, right?
Yeah. I never really.
I mean, I think their careers going to go.
Been in, but.
I think their careers are going to go places after that spinoff. I mean, that absolutely. And they're talking, and so the other part of the plan is to do another spinoff of this with Matthew McConaughey. But the difference here is that's going to be on Paramount Plus, not the broadcast Paramount network. So you'd have to subscribe to the streaming service in order to see it.
And they've got a working title for that. It's called the All Right Ranch. So,
has anybody watched that '90s show? I'm just going to ask that one real quick.
I have not. I think I've watched a couple trailers. It looks kind of interesting. I've read competing reviews. Some say it recaptures the old magic. Some say it didn't. But the problem is, I wasn't a huge watcher of the original. I watched it every once in a while, but
I'm going to point out my one issue with this show, and it is more so an issue with Hollywood that makes me question my entire existence. For so long, I'm watching that '90s show, and the daughter of Eric Foreman and Donna, whatever her name, right? She is the central character. She's living there with the grandparents, and she's in high school. And I'm like, she is a very cute girl. This for so long, Hollywood has had 26 and 27-year-olds playing high school students. You know, think back 90210. Here you go. They actually got a 15-year-old to play a 15-year-old or a 16-year-old to play a 16-year-old. Now I feel like the dirty old man. Thanks a lot, Hollywood. You sons of bitches.
It's just
it's Britney Spears all over again, God damn it.
Yeah.
All I know is this upcoming weekend, I'm looking forward to watching some interesting commercials.
Yes. What is Shrinking? Have you watched Shrinking? What is that?
Shrinking is no.
Okay.
Although, okay, it does have a British angle to it. The guy on Ted Lasso, who plays the grizzled soccer player, it's his show. Brad, whatever his name is.
Okay.
But it stars Harrison Ford and dang it.
Oh. Okay. Yes. No, I I have not watched it because it's on. Isn't it on Apple Plus, Apple TV?
Probably.
I don't have that, so I have not watched it yet. But that does look good.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
And The Last of Us, I like that as well. Let's go to the movie.
All right.
We could go on. We should have did this earlier.
Okay. So we have 2 movies to review today. One movie and one home movie to review tonight.
We basically have we have a movie and something pretending to be a movie.
Yeah. So we might as well go with the Pretender first.
Sure.
What was it called? Like How to Get Rich in 30 Days, something like that.
45 days to be rich.
Yeah, 45 days to be rich. So Colin, we'll start with you. So tell us how do we get rich in 45 days?
Okay, yeah. I would say this looked like it was shot on a cell phone, but it wasn't shot on a good cell phone. But it does look like it was shot on. It was shot on a old non-Samsung Android. Anyway, it's bad. Here's the thing. This is actually a pretty set type of movie. Okay, think Rain Man. So it's a movie about some brothers who have to spend time with this brother they never met. And if they spend 45 days, as I originally were told, with this brother, then they'll get their part of their inheritance from their mother, so that they will become millionaires. That's the surrounding idea of the story, which is fine. And you take this to say Rain Man or anything else. So the idea is very simple. You have one character who, he's pretty much the straight man. He's the normal guy. He has some character flaws. Whatever those character flaws are, maybe he's arrogant. Maybe he has a hard time getting along with people. Whatever his issue is, he has an issue. And he meets these family members, and they're a little different. And as you learn your differences, then you learn something better about yourself. And in the end, maybe everybody comes out a little bit better. And it's like, Meet the Fockers, any of these movies, Meet the Parents, whatever the original one was. This is a standard thing that happens every time. Here's the problem with this movie. There's no straight guy. There's no main guy. They're all terrible, weird, stupid people. Every single one. There's the, I guess, supposedly main guy, but he's awful. He has his brother he's known his entire life, who is just the worst character I've ever seen in any movie ever. I cannot think of a character who is as stupid, as self-centered as this guy is. And he spends the entire time complaining to his brother about how self-centered he is, that he is forcing his brother to not do nothing in hopes of getting to be millionaires. He would rather be left alone. I just there is no character in this entire movie who's worth looking at. And then the worst thing happens. It turns out this isn't that type of movie. Apparently they were watching The Game. The Game, that really weird movie about the guy who is a bit estranged from his family, and his brother buys him this thing where everybody he meets is actually an actor, and he ends up trying to kill himself at the end of the movie by jumping off the building because he thinks he just shot his brother. And then it turns out that he lands in a big balloon and everything's good, and he feels sort of reborn and happy because of the experience that this has been put through. Apparently, the people making this movie saw that movie and thought that was a great idea. And so they tacked on to the end of the movie. And so you had the character laughing hysterically to himself in this this thing where apparently he's all better now and now he understands life. But that was actually none of that was actually in the movie. It's they have no understanding of that other movie. They just decided to rip that piece off too and stick it at the end of their movie they shot using a cell phone. This is an anger-inducing movie, and I think it should be killed in fire.
All right. Let's see here. So, I began watching this movie when we had people over at the house. Mistake number one. All right, because as this movie started, I said, wow, this intro is very plain. And I don't see any major motion picture, like, slates. You know, there's no, like, industrial magic, no, like, boy fishing off of a moon. There's no Orion pictures. No, like, you know, anything. Not even Asylum. That would have been a breath of fresh air. No. What we see is a judge getting dressed, putting his robe on to get into his car and drive to the courthouse. Now, we talked about Night Court earlier. Everybody knows that Harry kept his robe in his chambers. He didn't drive to work with his robe on. That's when I hit the home button on my remote and said, I will watch the rest of this piece of garbage and not subject everyone at this table to this. Because I knew it wasn't going to get any better. All right? And point for me, it didn't get any better. All right? The overuse of F-bombs, the lack of talent in acting, the drudgery of watching the film that seemed to never end. Even though the seconds ticked by, it was horrible. We've said it before, but if you only have a few minutes left to live, watch a movie like this, and it will seem like years. So, no, this is not a diamond in the rough. This is just more rough. In fact, this is the sewage pile at the end of the rough that you never want to hit your ball into, because if you do, screw it. Balls are cheap. All right, so I, like Colin, will give this a kill it with fire. Mike.
I want to know which one of these brothers is the one that wrote this masterpiece. Because you know, just from the way it's starting, that one of these actors is the writer and probably director of this movie. And of course, it's the brother they've never met before. In the very beginning, right off the bat, I see Jake wearing a shirt. It says, Good Old Scratch Custom Apparel. Yeah, I found your company on Facebook. Jake owns that company. He makes T-shirts using vinyl. Quote unquote, if we lose that money, Joe, what? I'm going to have to sell more, what? Sell more T-shirts? What? If we lose that money? Wait a minute. Did you just put a cat in a washing machine? This movie is even more terrible than the one that we watched where the guy changed shirts every scene, every time the camera cut off of him. The Greek guy, the way he speaks, the way he acts, he is a dollar store Christopher Waltz from Inglourious Basterds. We are in a pickle here, aren't we? Listen. And then the whole thing turns out to be a prank by Gramps, and that's how it ends. That's how it ends. Gentlemen, this is the first time in PTR history where the three of us have given a movie Kill It With Fire.
Woohoo! We all agree. It's the worst movie ever.
Okay. I have to highlight something you just said, Mike. He puts a cat in the clothes washer that's sitting next to a very large utility sink.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I could kind of see, hey, I got this messy thing. I have a top-loading clothes washer. How about I put the cat in here to make it so it can't jump out, and then I'll wash it there. But I'm not going to turn the machine on. I'm just going to use this as the place where, fine. Except you have a very deep utility sink next to the washer. You could have used that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I just double checked. This literally was. This is taking the title. The worst one before this was almost 3 years ago. A movie called Range 15.
Oh, wasn't that that was a zombie movie?
Yes.
I think.
I'd rather watch that.
Yeah, it was better because it at least had Sean Austin in it.
They at least knew that it was a bad movie.
Yeah. It had good cameos. It had William Shatner and Danny Trejo. That was a crowdfunded movie where they made much more money than they anticipated, and so they just got actors.
Yeah.
They just blew it all for cameos. So, all right. Let's see here. Who was what was the other movie that we watched?
My Spy.
My Spy. How could I forget that? Dave Bautista. Good old Dave. All right, Colin, you're up.
This is going to be a much shorter review because this is Kindergarten Cop with Dave Bautista, and it's just the one kid. Actually, no, I take that back. He does spend some time in the school. So there is a little bit actual Kindergarten Cop stuff there in the school itself. So yeah, even more so. But yeah, that's basically what this is. Dave Bautista is playing. He's basically playing. You remember? Oh, dang it, Steve Carell. He's playing Steve Carell's character from. It doesn't matter.
I Spy.
See, not I Spy.
No.
The
Get Smart.
Anyway, doesn't matter. Get Smart. That's it. He's basically the modern day Get Smart version. You know, the one where he's not quite the original one, and he actually is competent. He just is a little bit, not good at the job. Yeah, Dave Bautista is playing that character, which is fun. He's supposed to be a bit of a romance plot here, and that's just not there. Anyway, I'm sorry, having a kiss at the end of the movie doesn't seal that to me as a believable relationship. That being said, it goes quick. It's fun. The main little girl character is, a very good young actress for this kind of movie. I had a lot of fun watching this movie. There's just not much to say about it. So I'm going to give it. I'm going to give it the. The SEG.
Okay. All right. So, let's see here. This one we did put on. Sorry, she wanted attention. She was barking. This one we did put on for while we ate dinner, and my wife kept asking who was that, and I kept saying that's Dave Bautista, and then she said, "Is that Dave Bautista?" I'm like, "No, that's just somebody else." Several times. And then I'm like, "That's Dave Bautista," and then she's like, "Who's Dave Bautista?" I said, "Well, that's Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy," and she says, "I don't know who that is." I'm like, "Well, whatever." So after explaining who Dave Bautista was several times, I think you're wrong. This isn't Kindergarten Cop. This is Cop and a Half. You know, this is more akin to that. Maybe more akin to a Cop and a Half 2. But anyway, this was I actually like this movie. I thought it was cute. But I also like the female partner in this one, because I think that she's funny. She's done some other comedy work though, so I like her. The plot was pretty good. The action was good. The idea of a CIA agent who's great at kicking ass, as he says, but not very good at all the other parts of being a CIA agent was kind of funny, and Batista just plays that role pretty good. I think that I think I could come up with a dream team of folks that could play these types of roles, like Dominic Purcell. We've had a movie with him in it. I think Dave Bautista. I think we could put some other people in there, and I think we could come up with a pretty good little alternative to the Expendables. But anyway, so yeah, it was a fun movie to watch. It was good. It kept its pace. It was over, fairly quickly. So I'm gonna give this a smile. I think that's about where it deserves to be. So yeah, smile for me. All right, Mike, you're up.
All right, so it's a little unsettling to me that this movie starts in Ukraine at Chernobyl. Of course, we know this can't be true since the reactors are under the sarcophagus at this point. First thing I notice when they deploy, all those LED lights along the top of the Tech Whiz's monitors. That would be instant headache for me. Okay, and somebody want to explain the benefit of having that, or what the purpose is of having LED strips right above shining in your face? No. Batista wound up on ice skates. It's about what I expected, and for the record, that ice is way too wet to be. Somebody did let the kids out there way too quick after the Zamboni was done. This kid, she is an evil genius is what she is. Playing both blackmail and pity in the same sitting, doesn't even break a sweat. And seriously, 100% evil genius. I think this kid is my new spirit animal. I forget what. Oh, when he started dancing. Are you having a stroke? That is almost 100% of the time the reaction that I get when I start dancing. People ask me, do I need medical attention? And so I have that in common with Dave Bautista. I feel, but the hell kind of chairs does a restaurant have that have paper towel roll backs? I mean, these are the kinds of things I'm noticing in this movie. I'm like reaching because I'm actually enjoying the movie. But what the hell kind of CIA agent announces themselves from a block and a half away when the dude's right by the door that he can get in and escape? That's not a smart CIA agent. Now they're starting. In what world? In what world is a Fiat going to chase down a Maserati? Who builds a runway at the edge of a cliff? Better question is, why did Mr. CIA agent Dave Bautista park the truck at the very end of the runway where the plane would have a chance to actually take off? And Drive at them. Shorten the runway. So I nitpicked, but that's because there wasn't a whole, I was enjoying the movie, right? This is the movie. So you guys made the comparison to Kindergarten Cop, made the comparison to Cop and a Half. I'm going to take it one step further, and I'm going to say that this is the movie that Coffee and Kareem should have been.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun. Maybe not great, but it was fun. It is further proof that Dave Bautista is a better actor than Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And I think Cabinet, but this new one, this M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong one, is going to cement that opinion. But so I'm with Shaggy. I'm giving this a smile as well.
All right. So time to pick. Go ahead.
But before we do that, it's two things. First, I didn't realize this, but the director of this movie was also the director of Get Smart. So
that explains a lot.
Okay.
Also, if you're wondering what Dave Bautista is doing in a couple weeks, he's starting shooting of My Spy 2.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Well, at least it's a sequel starring the same actor.
And the girl's back too.
Oh.
Those are the two things we know. Those two are
Okay.
in the new movie. Apparently, Dave Bautista loves that movie. He's been pushing very hard to have a sequel.
Oh. Well,
Okay.
good for him.
So when it comes out, I think we may have to
Yeah.
do a bump.
There's a couple of new Netflix originals and Amazon originals that actually look pretty good. There's one
And some of
called
them
like
maybe on the list.
there's one called like Hidden Door or something like that, which looks very interesting. So I just saw one for it, trailer for it today. All right.
Well, let's make that next.
Well, I don't know that it's even out yet. I just saw a trailer for it. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But okay. 24.
24. Oh, God. It's a Netflix original.
Okay. It's usually pretty good.
It's called Home Team.
Oh.
Suspended NFL coach Sean Payton hopes to reconnect with his son by coaching his hapless youth football team in this family comedy based on a true story starring Kevin James, Taylor Lautner, and Rob Schneider. I'm going to just call this right now.
Mm-hmm.
If this winds up being a cheap rip-off remake of Little Giants, I'm going to be very upset.
Oh, it looks kind of, I think I might have added this to the list. I think it looked interesting. So, all right. Next one. 38.
Oh, I don't believe this is available anymore. Hold on. Just double checking to make sure. Yeah, not available anymore.
Okay.
That would have been. Wait, I'm sorry. Hold on. Yeah, that would have been Takers, which is a Paul Walker heist movie. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Number 8.
What in the actual hell?
God.
Also not available anymore, although this one I would have watched. This is The Watch on Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay. All right.
The first American appearance of Richard Ayoade. What?
19.
We're just on a roll. We're clearing out old stuff here. Dr. Cabby, not available.
32.
This one I know is available, and I put this one on the list. I'm going to take credit for it. This is an Amazon Shotgun Wedding.
Oh, that sounds great.
This is a J-Lo action comedy.
Okay.
That just came out last week or what have you. Her and Josh Duhamel.
They gather their families for the ultimate destination wedding, but when the entire party is taken hostage, Till Death Do Us Part takes on a whole new meaning in this hilarious adrenaline-fueled adventure as Darcy and Tom must save their loved ones if they don't kill each other first. Cool. Well, that looks like fun. That looks like fun. All right.
The 20th is actually President's Day, so I don't know if you want to go.
I mean, I don't.
Day or if you want to go Tuesday.
I don't care. I'm off, but it's up to you. And Colin. It's up to you and Colin.
I mean, I'm off as well.
Yeah, I'm working that day. It's also going to be very highly dependent on if. To be very honest about it, I have no idea what I am going to be like at that point.
Okay,
I'll probably still have a head full of foam snakes, so I have no idea what I'm going to sound like. So we'll see as we get closer.
All right, so we'll play it by ear. So we may or may not be on the 20th, but we will keep everyone in the loop and let you know what's going to happen. So until then, really, we want to say thank you for tuning in to PTR Radio here on the fabulous interweb. Want to thank everybody that came out this last Saturday for the Crime Stoppers trivia night. Did say hi to a couple people. That was nice. And we were on the big screen. I kept meaning to get a picture. Mike, we were on probably 60 feet of digital billboard inside the arena, so that was nice. And
nice.
So it was awesome, and there's already plans to do it next year. So, and it's going to be even bigger and better, so it's going to be really interesting. So that was a lot of fun, and got another one scheduled for April. So but really, we'll keep you guys up to date on everything that's going on with us. But don't forget, check out PTR Radio on your favorite social media: Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Insta, all that other fun stuff. And we'll see you back here in a couple weeks at some point. We'll let you know via social media when we'll be on. Until then, I'm Shaggy.
I'm Colin.
I am Mike the Ape Man.
I'm Penny. Stick a fork in us, folks. We are done. Later.
Him is just a name. Live 7 country. Now he's getting funky. This M16 ain't